Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Where's the Call Sheet. We have two guests today, Tony and Vic.
Hi, Tony.
Hey, how goes Vic?
Two people that I've actually, Tony, you were one of the first people that I ever met in the industry, and then I met you pretty early too.
What?
Oh yeah,
I literally can't hear anything.
We should address the elephant
Okay,
in the
I
room
thought it was
before
just
anything.
me. All right.
There are three people who I'm not going to call out by name, but you know who you are, that criticized the podcast because I wasn't wearing headphones and we weren't using microphones. Or like handheld microphones that we could see. We were using lavs. We apparently were too fancy for three individuals who I do talk to regularly, so you know who you are. So here, this is for you. We have a boom mic with Tony. We have a reporter mic with Vic. And then I'm using this $15 one from Best Buy, which if you notice, doesn't even have a cable, so it's literally just a prop. But I'm going to use it just for you. So I'm going to get off my horse. I'm even taking my headphones off because I don't want to deal with that the rest of the time. So again, thank you for coming.
No, this is
Yeah,
amazing.
Hopefully
for
my
having us,
little
brother.
rant didn't just irritate you guys enough that you're like, oh, I hate you both. so
No,
much.
Yeah, no
the
worries.
traffic here irritated me. There's a lot of traffic.
Traffic?
Yeah.
To get here?
Yeah, there's a lot of traffic,
I
actually.
guess it's what, like 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
I guess that kind of makes sense for a
Yeah,
traffic.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, you came from Lawrence.
I came from Lawrence. I was all right.
I was about to say, yeah, there shouldn't be anybody coming this way. No, everyone should be coming this way.
Well, I mean, everyone that comes, comes to see you. So I mean,
This is
there we
very
go.
true. I'm so popular. We have 4 cars out front.
I mean, you see a lot of
Three of
people
them
come,
run.
and a lot of people come, and a lot of
Three
people
of
go.
them
You know,
run. Yeah.
the ones that come they come to see you. The ones that go, well, sometimes you're the one that sends them on their way, right?
Well, yeah, and they're usually in body bags when I send them too. So it's a whole thing. I'm putting this down. This is so stupid. Sorry,
That's
you
right.
guys have to keep using yours.
I would say,
You can
I
thank
mean,
those people.
you got a killer art department here. This is amazing.
Yeah, art department. I mean, we've got the Orca sponsorship here. We've got the
Hell
tea
yeah.
kettle from, was that my grandma? My grandma gave that to us when we were at her women's club meeting. Shout out to the Camp Hill Women's Club.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, if you got, like I said, you want to sponsor us, we have availability. I would love to make money off this. That'd be fantastic, but it's not in the cards right now. But we are surprisingly doing better than I thought. I really thought that no one would care, and like maybe 6 people care.
Maybe 6.
And you know what? 6 is better than 2.
Hey, if it's worth anything, I care.
Well, thank you, Tony. I greatly appreciate that. But yeah, to get more into you guys, we'll start with Tony. How did you get into the industry? Because I know a lot of people work with you. You were one of the more popular people in town. But I don't know how many people know who Tony is. They know who, the gaffer is, but who is Tony?
Gotcha. Well, Tony Ontiveros, I've been a gaffer for several years right now. I gaff, I grip. I also production manage as well. I don't know if a lot of people know
Okay.
that, but that's another thing that I do as well. So, but
Did
yeah.
you know that?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I also knew that, but other people might not know
Oh,
that.
that's right.
So.
Yeah, no worries. But I got into the industry somewhere about 16 years ago. I've always wanted to work on films and everything. And what happened was that I was just there in one of the basic film classes. And I mean, really, we had no business having a guest come on over from LA, a producer saying, hey, we're shooting a film here in the local area and we're here to look for some production assistants. If anybody wants to sign up, here's a sign up sheet, we'll be taking interviews over at this coffee shop in downtown Lawrence. Well, I definitely went there, and they were asking for experience at the time. I mean, I'm just a student. What experience do I really have?
I'm good at math.
Yeah, I mean, there it is. It's like, well, I mean, sure, I know how to rep cable, I guess, but
Yeah.
there was that thing. And, I signed up and I didn't get a call back. I had a great interview, but that was about it. And a couple of friends were saying, hey, Tony, you going to that shoot this weekend? I'm like, nobody called me about it. That's all right. Just come with us. So, yeah, I went there. And, yeah, we were there from 6 in the morning to 6 p.m. And honestly, it was a bitterly cold day. But, hey, I had a lot of fun just being around, like, everybody there, the grips. And everybody was just really professional and very welcoming. So it was a very cool experience. And then from that shoot, I got recommendations from people on that production. And they say, hey, Tony, you available for this thing or that thing? We're here in town. And honestly, just me having like a bunch of equipment was just a random thing. It's just something that it was so hard to get equipment from. I was a student there, so I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should invest in some lights for myself for my own projects. But then later on, it's like, hey, Tony, we know that you have a light kit. Just how can you rent that out to us? And what's your rate? I'm like, well, geez, I didn't have a rate or anything. So I'm
Well,
like,
how much money do you have?
it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, sure. And the more I worked on other shoots and stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I want to buy some stands. Maybe I want this or that, But then later on, it became a point where I had a little bit more to offer. So then it was just one of those things where, it just grew and grew, and then I just started running out of space in my SUV.
Yeah, and then you got the truck.
And then I got the truck.
How many years in? I'm gonna sit in for the lighting. How many years in was it that you were finding yourself fully supplying gear for shoots? Like at the beginning, it's like a light here, light there
yeah.
type stuff. But like,
Right.
at what point were you the one-stop shop or the majority of the stuff?
Well, it would once people started like renting like gear or like contacting me about that, they bring me on the shoots, and I'd say like somewhere in between probably 3 or 4 years into it.
That's pretty quick.
But yeah, it wasn't major. It was just like, oh well, you have a camera. Oh, you have this light kit. It's just nothing but Fresnel's at the time, just your basic tungsten airy kit at the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone
Yeah.
loved that at however
Right.
many years ago that was. That was the set to have.
Oh, absolutely. And I still have it. Once in a while, it does get some rental.
Oh, nice.
So I mean, that's pretty cool sometimes. So,
Well, yeah, hey,
Yeah.
rental money is great no matter when
Oh,
it comes or
absolutely.
what it is.
Right.
So yeah, I want to dive more into that, but I also don't want to leave him out and just have you sitting here doing nothing because you're also here. So who are you, and what do you do?
I'm Vic. I'm Vic Dominguez.
Yeah, are people supposed to just know who you are? I guess already.
I mean, no.
What do you do? What's your role?
I grip and sometimes I AD short films, and I guess I do. I write and direct my own little short films every once in a while. But
I mean, you shouldn't say everyone. I feel like I did one for you. I know you did the one
Yeah.
with Devontae.
yeah, and I worked with you very recently. I was your
UPM
UPM on your most recent production.
Yeah, don't sell
so,
yourself
yeah.
short, dude. Like
Oh,
you're a
absolutely,
writer,
yeah.
director, you're an AD, you're a grip.
You
You
do a
know,
lot
I
of
mean,
things,
I was
man.
gonna say you do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you had to pick one, like what is your? I'm not saying which one do you do the most. Which one do you want to do the most? What position on set?
What I want to do the most. It really kind of just depends on It depends on what we're doing.
Like,
If it's a commercial or some form of advertisement, right? Corporate stuff.
Yeah.
I'd much rather just grip or key grip or gaff or whatever. For
Yeah.
that. And then when it's something creative, then yeah, I would like to be in the directing, assistant directing, or somewhere in that role.
Yeah.
I don't mind gripping for shorts or features or narratives or whatever. I enjoy both very much, but it's just if I get a chance to be creative in making decisions and taking on more of a leadership role, then I jump at that opportunity.
Yeah. Was Beer and Cigarettes your first writer director credit?
Yeah, it was. Beer and Cigarettes was the first, and it was the first that I had done, you could say, professionally outside of college.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we did that one. That was a lot of fun. That was cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, you gaffed it and then I DP'd it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here, let's pretend like he's not here. How was that shoot, Tony? How was it working with Vic on his first, writer director project?
Well, honestly, it was really great because at the time, up until leading to the shoot, I was the UPM. So, I'm just meeting with Vic, talking about the locations, what the needs are, and then we would just like go from bar to bar because it takes place in a bar. Beer and Cigarettes
Yeah.
takes place in the bar, and we're like, okay.
Beer and Cigarettes takes place in a bar?
Believe it or don't.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah.
You're
So-
really daring there in your script, Vic.
I know. I mean, groundbreaking. But anyway, so yeah, that's what it was. We were in Lawrence of all places because it was convenient for me. I mean, being in Lawrence, it's just one of those situations where I know a lot of people, I know a lot of places, locations that are very film friendly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Lawrence is it's there's a lot of film students up there, and they're always looking for locations.
Yeah.
And honestly, they shoot at a lot of these bars to begin with. So
Yeah. Did we shoot that in the summer or was that during the school year?
that was spring.
that was spring.
It was during the school year.
Yeah.
I couldn't
It was
remember
like-
if we
it
shot
was
that when the
May,
kids are
so
gone.
I don't know whether they were
Out of school or not.
I think by the time that we were shooting in May, I think they might have been at finals. I'm not too sure.
So the bars weren't like overcrowded. And we shot that during the day too, because we dayed for night.
Oh, we day for night
at
a lot of those places. We
Um,
just blocked off the windows. And,
Yeah, well, okay. So here we'll talk about the day for night here in a second. But
Yeah.
I mean, you guys would be the first ones to talk about actually finding a location. So how hard is it to find a location in general? We don't talk about just Beer and
Sure.
Cigarettes, but when you're looking for the spot, what goes into that?
I mean, in general, I think finding a location is hard. Like definitely smart to get a location scout, someone who actually like they have connections, like they magically just know where places are,
Yeah.
and how to get in contact with the people, like the owners or whoever you need to talk to.
But
I mean, for beer and cigarettes, we just drove around. Like, I mean, I spent like a weekend by myself just
bar hopping
In Lawrence or just in general?
I mainly,
for my own, I guess you can call it
research, I did it in Kansas City, just through Westport and a couple of bars in up in the River Market, and then I forget where
I visited like pretty much any bar that anybody has ever told me about or that
I've ever been to.
Vic went on a bar crawl.
I did. I did.
And when he was hammered, he stopped at Luis's and was just like, hey, this is
here
where
we
we're
go.
going to be.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
There was a day, Tony and I, that's literally what we did. We just drove around Lawrence because I was like, I don't know if I can find a place in Kansas City. I had a couple of leads that they were like, yeah, you can totally shoot here. Knuckleheads was one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember that because didn't Knuckleheads have the giant windows? And we were kind of like, this is going to be a bitch and a half.
That was another bar.
Oh, that was a different one?
That was a different
I've been to Knuckleheads in so long.
Knuckleheads was they had an outside venue that looked really cool, but we were like, how are we going to do that?
Yeah.
The walls were really busy with all the advertisements of the beers and the signage and everything there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very busy. That's
Yeah, because, I mean, Luis's was perfect. Like, that was the bar I went to when I was at KU. I love Luis's.
Same.
And it was great because it was that long, just standard room, and it had windows, but it was minimal windows, so we could work with it, but it also wasn't like we weren't in like a black box or something like that. And then the way that those tables were set up, because we had the 3 conversations, and like Luis's has the 3, there's probably 4 actually, but like sections of that top, so it was very easy to be like, this is a set, this is a set, this is a set,
exactly.
and we didn't have to get like weirdly creative and like do a bunch of set deck stuff because it was already there.
It was
already
all there.
I mean, we just moved a couple tables, a couple chairs around.
Yeah.
We did change up they're actually like their bar top.
Yeah.
Like, we moved like some lights and glasses and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, but very minimal. Excuse me. That's what I try to do every time that I'm scouting for a location. Is I always look for something where it's like, what's the least amount of work that's needed to make this look the way it needs to work? Because you have to have, if you're going to make short films, you have to have, you have to make, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it can't be 1,000,000,000% what you wanted. You have to.
I mean, you gotta
Make
make it
some
cost
sacrifice.
effective.
Yeah, you gotta make some sacrifice. Yeah.
And it comes down to money, at
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
the stuff that I've done is
Oh,
that
right.
like you have in your head like this is what it's going to look like, this is what it's going to be, and you find the perfect location, you find the perfect actor, you find whatever, and then they go, oh yeah, this is what it's going to cost, and it's like, oh well, like I'm trying to do this for $2.
Yeah,
Like I'm trying to film this thing right now as like a film incentive piece, and I'm looking for a location that is like I want to be able to crawl out a window and get onto a roof and see a cool skyline of something that looks semi-iconic Kansas City. Like somebody could look at me like, this is Kansas City. I found the perfect place. It's beautiful. It's this massive like Airbnb, so like we can rent it out. It'd be great. It's $1,000. And I was talking to the guy and I told him, I was like, look, man, I'm not trying to like, this is a 3-minute thing. Like it's not long. I don't, this ain't $1 million movie. He's like, oh yeah, it'd be $1,000. I asked for 4 hours. And I was like, $1,000? I was like, where did any of this did I lead that $1,000 is what I need? So when you go in and you don't have money, you have to be like, okay, like this is flexible. Like, yes,
Yeah.
like, oh, this is the beautiful bar, but they're not going to shut down on a Friday night
Right.
to let us film the whatever.
Never. No. So you just have to work with that.
You have to have somebody who, either you or somebody
On your team has to be really, really good at scheduling.
scheduling,
Yeah.
and you have to really plan everything out from the get-go.
Who did you schedule that one?
I did schedule
Because
that
I remember
one.
that was a very well put together shoot.
Thank you.
Because that was, I mean, it was the first, obviously, because it was your first
Yeah.
director. That was the first thing I DP'd
That was the first
with
yeah.
you,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
Probably with you too. Now that I think about it. And I remember because I had been on a fresh shit show run of stuff.
I remember you telling me.
And then I
Right, that
remember
was
like
something.
I remember we were doing the pre-production meetings and like I think we went over to your house like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah,
and I was
I
like,
remember that.
bro, like I thought we were gonna be here for one time for like 15 minutes, like because that's like what the other short
Yeah.
films that I had done
Right.
at that point They were like, okay, here's the 15-page script. We're going to shoot it in 2 days, and we start at 10, and we end at 10, and everything else is just a free-for-all. And then Tony, like, I remember we shot it, and you came out with, like, the folder. And I was like,
Yes.
oh, there's a folder.
Yes.
This is legit. Which was great. I mean, we were early a couple hours,
We were,
weren't we?
yeah.
Yeah.
We were supposed to be
On the second day, we were supposed to be tail lights at 10 p.m. Or we had to be out of the building.
I mean, by 10 p.m. and we were tail lights by like 9:45.
Yeah. So, no. I
That
mean-
was truly amazing.
Yeah, well, so, I mean, it's kind of segueing into something that I know that we wanted to talk about, but why are you that organized?
Well,
Like, is that past trauma or something?
no, honestly, I just love organizing things. I just like to have a good game plan of everything that's going on, and I don't want any, I don't want any obstacles. I want to have the smoothest shoot possible. I'm the firm believer of the 6 P's of production, which is proper planning prevents piss poor production.
Hang on, say that again, but a little slower.
That would be proper planning prevents piss poor production.
All right, we're getting T-shirts made of that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
like-
we,
like,
we
that's
definitely
fantastic.
should. Yeah.
I'm gonna start saying that to people now and be like,
Absolutely.
no, 6 P's, bro.
Oh.
Like really, like I'm not saying that
Oh,
as a joke. Like I'm saying that
absolutely.
like legitimately. Like that's
Should.
I will say that I
Should be
used to
sure.
work over at a studio, and the thing is
Yeah.
that I was their production coordinator for about 4.5 years or so forth.
Okay.
And then they would try to squeeze us like, oh, we want to do this production over here. I'm like, okay, well, do we have a script? Oh, it's just B-roll, Tony. We don't need a script. I'm like, yeah, well, it may be B-roll, but I want to know what it is that we're shooting. You know, is there a list? Because that's like, okay, you're telling me that we're going to go over to this clothing vendor, say like like Jocksnitch or what have you, And then it's like, okay, well, we're going to go over there. And it's like, all right, well, what are we shooting? Are we shooting T-shirts? We shooting sweatshirts? Which ones are we shooting there?
Yeah.
And then half the time we go there, we shoot everything there. It's like, oh, Tony, we got to go back there again because we didn't get this. I'm like, well, that's why I need a shot list. I
Yeah,
need a
they go,
script.
you focused on the Nikes, but we wanted the Adidas. Like
Right.
I've been on those shoots too,
Oh,
where they're like,
absolutely.
"Hey, we're filming. It's just for the store," and you're like, "Okay," and then you go film the whole thing, and they're like, "Hey, that giant display of footballs, they're changing the manufacturer of them, so they
Right.
don't want to show that in the ad." It's like, well, then
right.
why the fuck? One, did you not have the new balls in there? And two, why didn't you tell me? Like, and then you
Oh,
go back and you
absolutely.
reshoot, and it's just a pain in the ass.
Oh, and it's really interesting too because a lot of times you shoot that material and then you did like about 3 takes and you're like that you got the right one of
Right.
like what there, but then for some reason there's something that the that maybe the account executive or somebody else is like, oh, do you have any better shots of this sweater or do you have better shots of that steak being cut? I'm like, oh, great, I'm glad you called me out on that. I was hoping you'd definitely call me out on that. So yeah, I got that. But no, it's really odd. It's like honestly, just be there on production. If you have any questions, here we are. I mean, that's why we have director's monitors. So just take a look. If we didn't get the shot, we'll do another take.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
I
interesting.
just I never understood it. Why people didn't want to put more emphasis into pre-production.
Yeah.
Like even like from a G&E perspective, like I've been on shoots where like, hey, we're doing a scout day, and it'll just be like me and a director and a producer that show up, and you're like, we're like bringing a 1-ton in. Like, why is the
Right.
1-ton not here? Like,
Yeah.
it just
Right.
it baffles me that people want to write checks for a couple $100,000
yeah.
plus sometimes, and they're just like, oh yeah, like we'll just show up and do it. So how, like from a G&E perspective, not the production manager, that kind of stuff, from G&E, how important is a prep, a scout, just some sort of emphasis?
I think it just really depends. But I'll say there have been several shoots where I'm like, how come you didn't? I go to the DP or whoever it is, and I'm like, how come you didn't ask me to scout? Like, what? I should have been on the scout because you want me to, put together a rig or do this, do something weird with the light, and it's like, I literally can't do that. Like these ceilings, these they don't work. Like I can't clip to this. I can't bite onto that. I'm gonna break this. Like
you told me this, but you actually meant this, but because you don't have the knowledge, you messed up. Not you have the knowledge, but like I was like, hey, you need a scissor clip, but I think a scissor clip is something completely different than what a scissor
Right.
clip actually
Right.
is. So you bring scissor clips, and then you go up and it like you need a. I'm not even gonna try to say whatever
Yeah,
other
no,
plans.
What it could. Well,
does
that's
happen.
the thing that happens where somebody whoever is telling me just make sure you have these items, and I'm like, okay, cool, and then I show up with the items that are needed, but really
What they said
I
they
need
needed,
something.
yeah.
I
Right.
need something completely different.
Or they miss, like,
You
I've
know?
I've been on the shoots too, and I'm guilty of this as well. Like, I've set both of you guys up for failure multiple times, so like I'm fully aware of this.
There were-
But I've been on the shoots too, where like they have the pieces that they need, but they don't have the piece that connects the pieces. Like, we need a menace arm, and they
Yeah.
have this and this, but they don't have like the
Ratchet straps.
ratchet strap. Yeah,
Right.
whatever, like little thing
Yeah.
that like is so minimal and so like silly to not think about, but like it happens because you
Yeah.
guys weren't
Right.
there, and
yeah.
people aren't properly saying, oh, there's the dog's barking first time. People aren't properly articulating because they don't do it every day. You guys are far more knowledgeable about G&E than I am. I would never come to you and be like, hey, we need to put a condor up in this light with this, do this, and if you do it this way, I would be like, hey, Tony, make it bright. You know, and like you just do it. Like, you know, like there's some stuff that I can get specific on.
Yeah,
but
oh, yeah.
That's me like interview stuff.
Yeah,
Like, hey, I
sure.
want a book like this, you know,
Right.
Oh,
or
yeah,
shit
right.
like
Yeah,
that.
No, it's
But
totally
like
fine.
for the bigger things, it's
That's-
more like, hey guys, do your expertise, do your
Right.
jobs, do your
Yeah.
thing.
So yeah, I think it's really at the end of the day just really situational,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I definitely situational. And then, you know, a lot of times when I get calls from the production or, you know, whoever's hiring me, it's like, okay, well, is there any gear you want me to bring? Because it's like, I've had this happen to me once before on a short film, is that they told me that I was going to be in the gaffer. It was, you know, it's one of those 48-hour films or something. And I'm like, sure, I'll gaff, you know, that's fine. And I've gaffed before without having to bring equipment, you know, I'm using someone else's gear.
Right.
I thought this was one of those situations. I get there and I'm like, okay, so where are we pulling the gear from? What truck is all the gear in? And then the production manager's like, hold on one moment. And then he goes off to talk with his director or whatever. And then it's like, okay, they were under the impression that I was bringing gear. And it's like, well, nobody told me what gear to bring. I've never seen the location. And it's a short film, you know. It's like I don't have my... This was during my SUV days. I don't have my SUV
Right.
always packed with stuff. So we got there. I'm like, okay, well, all right, well, this is our location, and okay, we can just bounce and make it look natural. That'll be the look of our film. But sometimes it's like it's that. So when people call up, it's like, okay, well, do we need gear? Are you expecting gear from me? Oh, your DP is bringing gear. What is he bringing? Because sometimes, you know, they say, oh, well, the DP has his own grip gear, and you get there and like, okay, and it's like a couple of spring clamps and some, you know, some Mayfair parts, and you're trying
I have one
to make
C-stand
something out of
and
that.
one sandbag.
Not even.
Oh, he has a C-stand.
No, there
Sometimes-
are-
no, he has a C-stand. He just doesn't have any arms for the C-stands.
Yeah.
I've
yeah.
also been guilty of that. I've forgotten the
Oh,
arms at the house,
my
like because I take them off in the garage, and I was in a rush and I throw them in, and I get there and I'm like, oh shit, I don't have any arms. Like fuck, I'm screwed. I did a shoot recently where I was DP. It was a normal DP radios for a doc. Didn't think it was gonna be low budget. They brought in the gaffer, the director, and the producers, and I was like, cool. Do you need gear? Not that I was going to supply because I don't have a ton of stuff that I could have supplied what it was, but I was like, I'll put you in the right direction because they weren't from here. No, we're good. We're bringing lights from wherever they're from. And so we get up to the set. I'm like, all right, cool. We show up. We're doing the interview. Like, oh, what do you want? Blah, 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 lights. I was like, oh, yeah, like what's, you know, key from this side, do all this, blah, blah, blah. I go down to the van to help bring stuff up because we were like on the third story with no elevator. So I was like, oh, I'll help you bring cases up. And we get there, we get all this stuff out, and I realized there's no C-stands. And I'm like, I figured maybe they had like the little airy stands or something. Just like I had a travel kit because the lights weren't anything crazy. It's a bunch of aperture stuff. And the gaffer looked at me. He goes, "I was told that this stuff would be here." And I was like, "Well, here's the email of me asking if you need anything, and you said no, we got it." So we didn't have C-stands. We were 45 minutes away from lights on. And so that's an hour and a half that we lost.
Yeah.
And it's not even like you could be like piecing stuff. We weren't shooting B-roll. We were literally just shooting
Yeah.
an interview. So like you can't even piece stuff in at that point. Like, yeah, you can Hollywood a light to be like,
Oh, right,
oh yeah, like
absolutely.
this general area works, but like for the most part, you're waiting an hour and a half, and then you're starting.
Right.
So it's just insane that like the little things that people don't necessarily think of, and that kind of stuff usually happens on the low budget shoots.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
that stuff happens when they're like, "Hey, would you want to come DP for $250 a day?"
Right.
And everyone else is getting, everyone's getting the same rate. You know, it's all it's for fun, whatever.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
you show up and they have nothing, and you're like, "This is great, guys." But it's fun because you're there
Oh,
for fun.
absolutely.
You're not there for like
Right.
a thing. If you
Right.
come to me with a full rate, I'm expecting,
Well,
you know,
right.
for me to ask, "Hey, do you have C-stands?" To not be a question I have to ask.
Yeah.
Call me crazy about that, but.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why, you know, it's like I try to send them an inventory as to like what they're getting and everything. I mean, if they're getting, you know, equipment to begin with, but sometimes I'm like, it's like, hey, can you supply like, say, a car mount and then like maybe a couple stands and then, you know, maybe this light. I'm like, there. And then we get the locations like, oh, we have to ideally mount it like way up there. Do you have a ladder in your SUV? I'm like, no, I didn't bring a ladder on the SUV.
Do you have a 20-foot ladder in
Well,
your
right.
sedan?
You know, it's like one of those things, and it's like, no, I didn't bring that. I didn't go to the Scout, and you didn't ask for it. I didn't bring it.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, if we had the grip truck or something, it's like, yes, I do have ladders. I have these stands or that stands. It's like, oh, do you have a light mat in your car? I'm like, no, you didn't tell me to bring one. I mean,
Well,
yeah,
the
it's
grip
very
truck,
interesting.
The grip truck comes with a price though, so like it's
yeah.
not like if someone, how do I word this? If you're asking for stuff and you know a van's there and you've paid for it, that's one thing. But when
Right.
you're like, oh, do you have all this contents that would be on a truck, but like you know fully well that you didn't pay for the truck? It's
Right.
like, what are we doing?
No, absolutely.
Like
That
are
is
you
that.
just like covering your ass? Like that doesn't make sense to me at that point. But you brought up car mounts, which is another thing that both of you guys do. You both do rigging of some sort. You helped me rig the rickshaw when we did the skating video, which is dope. And then you guys both did on Michaela the car mount, which that's the best shot in the entire movie, is that car mount scene. And I know you guys do other stuff. So is that if Kansas City got a production scene big enough that you guys could do nothing but that, like nothing but rigging, would you do it?
I'd be interested in it, but I don't know. I feel like I would
Is that
still.
even how it works in other markets? Like,
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh,
like
yeah.
there are people, and that's
Oh,
all
yeah.
they do. Okay,
Oh,
I just
yeah.
want.
Oh,
absolutely.
The second
I mean,
said
even
it, I was
here
like,
in this market, you know, there's several
a-
people that are just known as like the car mounting guys.
And that's
you know,
all
the car
they
rigging
do?
guy. That's, well, they do a lot of other things too, but it's like, hey, if you want something done right, it's like, hey, here's our list.
here's the
That's-
people.
that's-
Okay, but they do like
yeah.
regular G&E type stuff.
Yeah,
too.
but-
They're not
Oh, absolutely.
strictly rigging.
No, but
Okay,
they
I
do
was
get a
about to
lot.
say, I was like,
but they
I'm
do get a lot
living
of
under a rock.
work, you know, strictly rigging.
Right.
Yeah.
But they do other things too.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, that's like those are the cool shots. Like, those are
Oh,
the fun
they
ones.
are, they
Yeah.
are, and it's like I'm very leery about what it is because it's like, well, okay, you want a car mount, okay, well, what are we rigging here? I just want to know like what the vehicle looks like. I mean, because sometimes you know you have a beat up truck and it's like, oh, okay, suction cup mount is you know not what they what they had in the budget. But I'm looking at, I'm like, this suction cup is not going to stick on this hood.
Literally, anytime someone has asked me to do a car mount thing, I'm like, yeah, I know how to do that stuff. I can do that stuff. I can tell you what to get. Okay, great. And then I say, what's the car? When are we going to look at the car? Oh, the car. We're not going to. Literally every time, no one ever tells me what the car is unless I ask. No one ever tells me when.
So
we're
crazy.
If I ask them when can we see the car? When, you know, scout it, and they're like, pretty much every time. Oh, well, we'll get on the days when it arrives.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
You're like sick. This one of a kind car
Right,
from
I'm like,
1967.
and, you know,
awesome.
and then
Yeah.
and then they ask me how long it's gonna take. And I'm like, well, maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
Oh my
And they're
God,
like,
an
yeah.
hour!
I'm like, well,
That's
maybe
pretty
if I
quick.
was able to look at the car, you know, maybe like
Right.
anytime beforehand, we could cut out a good like 20 or 30 minutes because I have, you know, I mean, you know, you have to
Oh, absolutely.
climb under, you have to look where you can actually hook onto things and
Oh, right.
where not to hook onto things.
Right.
and
I mean,
so
a lot
on
of
and
these,
so on.
a lot of these new cars nowadays. I'm like, wow, there's not like any major rigging points under there. You know, it's
Yeah.
all flat and smooth. And it's
What
all
are you looking
plastic.
for? I mean, I don't rig, so I have no idea.
Well, I'm just looking for like any like hard, like a solid metal frame underneath and the bottom, preferably where the hole is like large enough to fit like say a ratchet strap
Okay.
hook or something like that. And if there's not that, I'm like, okay, do I have like any other points where I could put a device where I could actually put like a solid clamp with a hooking point on there, with a rigging point that I could actually put said ratchet strap on.
Yeah, I mean, because you're putting potentially $150,000
Oh,
attached to a
absolutely,
like
absolutely.
potentially priceless car.
Oh,
So like,
indeed.
you want to make sure it's not going to fall off. I mean, we've all seen those videos on Instagram and shit. Where they're-
Man, you go from high def to no def real
Yeah.
fast.
Well, there was a shoot that my camera was rented out on, and I got a call from someone that wasn't even on the shoot. So like they had heard it through a bunch of people. Like they weren't even going to notify me. Like, hey, your camera's busted. It got fucked up. I'm like, well, this is news to me because I was picking it up like later that day. And so I called the people that had rented it. And I was like, hey, what am I walking into when I come pick this up? And they said that it was the matte box and the lens that took the brunt of it. But they were on a Russian arm, and they hit a bump the wrong way, and something was loose at the camera dip more than it should have, and caught just enough that the whole thing flipped and the lens was shot. I think like the body was fine, but the glass was all no. The glass was fine, but the body itself was just mangled, and like you couldn't twist the gears and stuff. Weren't my lenses, so I really don't care. Well, I do care because a baby lens died
They
today.
weren't your-
but
they weren't
No,
yours.
they were using some rental on something.
Oh, they're using somebody else's.
Yeah, well, yeah. If they were my lenses, I would have been
Yeah, yeah.
freaking out because insurance
Sure.
money takes fucking forever
Oh,
to get in.
absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it's just people don't realize how important it is and how much time you should allot for something until something like that does happen. The shoot ended fine, like it wasn't like it was a problem, but they obviously had to go down for however much time, which is money. Time is money on a set. But what is your favorite rig that you guys have ever done, separately or together, whichever works?
Oh wow, there's so many of them right now, but
Well, I mean, what we did on our last film for the Brother Sink, we had, we just did a hood mount and the two hostess trays, but we had enough cheese plates that we could put could have put 3 cameras on the hood, and that would have made things.
Why did you use so many cheese
super
plates?
fast?
You have one camera, I'm assuming?
It had one camera, but it was just to move,
Oh, so you could
Just
move
easily.
Okay,
just
yeah.
easily.
yeah, because we had the
It's like, okay, we're done with this scene, now pull it off.
Rig like you're doing 3 cameras, but
Right.
Yeah.
that way you can just slide it over.
for
Okay.
Literally,
mobility.
and that's literally all they had to do.
Yeah.
Very minimal adjustments
Yeah.
from G&E from there.
Was that something that was discussed in pre-production?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at that.
Actually,
Absolutely.
a scout
In fact,
day.
there was a
with
scout
the car,
day at prep
and a
day.
rig and we tested the
You
rig.
tested it out.
Tested the whole thing
Yeah.
out. Whoops. Tested the whole thing out.
yeah.
Well, whoever did that shoot, let's hire him for everything. It'd be fucking fantastic.
That was me and Tony and James Servin.
That's what I was getting at, but, just trying to be a little anonymous about it.
I'm not.
there you go.
That's-
Oh, okay. Hire Vic and Tony for all your needs. Of
Hire Tony.
Doing stuff on
Tony
time.
knows everything.
I mean, you really
And
do.
hire James because
That was cool.
he knows
I
a
s-
lot too.
I supplied
James is
gear.
the one that from Strange, right?
He's no longer at Strange
But that's
anymore. But
that's where I met him. That's how I
oh
was-
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
he used
no,
to work there.
absolutely.
Yeah. James is great. He's awesome.
Yeah, I like to give shout outs to people as I
Yeah.
talk to other people because every other episode we've done, someone has said something.
Oh,
Of,
yeah.
Oh yeah, this person, do you know him? And I'm like, no, but like if you vouch, cool. Like, I've known a couple of them, but
Yeah.
so James, shout out
Absolutely.
from Vic and Tony. Look at
Absolutely.
that. Okay, so we're on. This is gonna be a hard pivot. So we're on a podcast called "Where's the Call Sheet." Let's talk about call sheets.
Oh gosh, call sheets. I don't know where.
Now
to begin.
I know that I have personally fucked up a call sheet with both of you.
Oh,
And I also know that I'm 100% a hypocrite because I'm the guy that, 1, doesn't read call sheets. 2, is like, where the fuck is my call sheet? I'm trying to figure out when I need to go to bed.
Oh,
But I'm
absolutely.
also the guy that sends the text. It's like, bro, the call sheet's not coming. Just get there at fucking 10. So like, I'm an asshole and a hypocrite. I can own up to it. It's totally fine. But how important to you guys are call sheets?
Well, it's very important because it's like having the call sheet will determine whether what time I need to wake up in the morning. So it's like, well, I'm like if I'm prepping gear and everything, it's like, okay, well, how much time do I have? Before it's like, oh, I should get some sleep, before our call time, or
shit, 4 hours.
I live in Lawrence, so it's like, okay, well, where am I going to be? When they tell me they're going to be that we're hired for the next day, I'm like, well, where are we going? Are we going to be in Kansas City, or are we going to be in like St. Joe, Missouri? So,
Right.
I mean, it's just one of those things I got to know, and so I mean, that's how it is. Sometimes I'm not getting call sheet at a decent time. Sometimes it's like 10 o'clock and I haven't gotten the call sheet, and I'm like, okay, well, how early do they want us to be at said location?
Yeah, I mean, at a bare minimum to me, because I admittedly don't read call sheets because the majority of the shoots that I'm usually on the call sheet, it's the start time. Everything else changes a million times throughout the day. So I've gotten to the point that I just want to know what time I have to be there, what the address is, and basically what's for lunch, because I'm also fat. But I wish that, because it used to be, and I never experienced this, that you wrapped and they gave you a paper call sheet that night for the next
Right.
day, right?
I remember those
We
days.
don't do that anymore. Like, it's all electronic. I wish at a bare minimum, as you're leaving, if it's a multi-day shoot, obviously, someone would just go, hey, we're working on the call sheet. It's not coming out till later tonight, but this is the address. This is the time you need to be there. The rest of the information, we'll figure it out. Why don't people do that?
Because it honestly becomes an afterthought, and also it's at some time excuse me, sometimes I think it becomes like a need to know basis because there's something that's in the works, like maybe the location wasn't like finalized yet, or maybe
Yeah, just be upfront about that. Like, if someone told me, hey,
Right.
guys, like, we had this figured out, but, like, they're being
Right.
weird, like, we're trying to figure it out. Totally cool.
Well, right.
But, like, when, like, I've done the shoots where we're at, so day 1, we're at location A. Day 2, we're also at location A. It's like,
oh, I see.
they're obviously
Yeah.
cool with us. Like, just tell me what time to be here.
And that's the other thing is they're still trying to figure out what time to bring people, because you look at whatever you're maybe it's not always the same scenario. But if you're day one, you had your shot list, your schedule, whatever. Day two is completely different, and there's actors who aren't showing up. Your new actors are arriving. They're somebody who was on day one is also on day two, but their time is later. So you have to figure out when you need to call all of them, and then also you need to figure out when to get your hair and makeup person there, when to get the sound operator there, and do all of that math to make sure that no one's going into OT, especially just the crew who, we all hate it because it's happened to each of us where we've had a pre-call or what have you, right? We get called to, we have a call, we show up when we're supposed to, and then we sit around for like 2 hours.
Fucking love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice.
Sport shoots are notorious for that.
It's nice to get paid to
absolutely.
sit on my ass, but
I
I actually like working.
Yeah, well, I like working, but to me, it depends on what time you have to get there. Because I've done the shoots where the call's like 5 a.m. and
Yeah.
you're not doing shit till 9.
Yeah,
and
that happened to us.
absolutely.
why the fuck
Yeah.
did we get
I
here at
mean,
5?
Like,
I met
why
this
were we
guy.
here?
I met this guy on a shoot several years ago. A feature which I hear is finally about to be released, but after 10 years. But the thing is,
Hey, I shouldn't laugh at that.
No,
I shouldn't
no,
laugh
no,
at
no. I mean,
completing
hey,
completing a feature is more than
absolutely,
I've done. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I've worked on film that just exceeded that amount.
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing is that we would be called at it was an all-nighter. It was an all-nighter, and we'd be called at say 5:00 p.m. Okay, that's fine, but we were told by the person that was serving as the DP that just stand down and we'll just wait and see what the actual lighting looks like when it gets dark. So, yeah, there was absolutely nothing to do. You couldn't pre-plan. You couldn't, take any gear out. But that was the situation.
Wait and see.
I will say we never made our day any night because honestly, the only reason we wrapped was because the sun came up. We were doing night scene exteriors, and that was a situation on its own.
Well, you add that on top of the fact that it was like an overnight shoot. I hate overnight
absolutely,
shoots.
absolutely.
Suck.
But by the time you're used to the overnight aspect of it, you're done.
You're done.
Like the
absolutely.
shoot's over, and now you have 3 days to recoup and get back on a normal schedule. And most of the time, you're wrapping on a Tuesday. You take Wednesday off to recover, and then you're working again on Thursday. But your call's at 8 in the morning.
Right.
So I hate
the whole thing.
I hate
Yeah.
night shoots so much. I was talking to ProRes a couple days ago, and I can't remember what movie it was because I'm not that guy. I never remember what it is. But they shot. I'm gonna butcher this so bad because I'm also not technical. But he was telling me that they shot Nope. There's a desert scene in Nope that takes place at night, and they shot that in the middle of the day. And they utilized 2 cameras. One was shooting infrared, and one was shooting normal. And they overlaid it so that this desert that has nothing but sky looked like it was nighttime. I haven't seen Nope. I don't know what that actually looks like, but he was saying that that's how they shot day for night, and I'm sitting here like, I will cut my day rate if we can give my day rate money to a second camera so that we can shoot during the day, instead of making my call time 8 p.m. or whatever.
Well,
depending on time
I
of year it is.
understand.
I would do that in a heartbeat. That's how much
absolutely.
I hate overnights. I fucking hate them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they suck.
No matter what you can do to try to explain, I'm gonna go to bed late, so that way I'll be. I'm like, no, that never works for me, honestly, because my internal clock will always tell me it's like, well, hey, it's 9 a.m. You should be up and ready to go by now.
And that's another
Thing with
figuring out why you haven't gotten your call sheet yet, or why they haven't told you what time to show up.
up is because we ran into a thing on what's it called, The Last Butterflies, where most of
Whatever day that was, most of us.
You're good. Just hold a little
Oh,
closer to your
sorry,
face. Vic doesn't know how to work audio. It's fine.
I don't
I'm also messing up this fader right here. You're good.
like this.
Oh yeah, nothing. Yeah, make out with them.
Is this better?
Just go to town on it. Nah, it's sort of like an inch away. You'll be good.
What was I going to say? Lost my train of thought. So, on the Last Butterflies, there was a day where we were shooting. It wasn't an overnight, but it was later because we're outside. It needs to take place at night. So we're going to have to shoot it at night. That's just what we're going to have to do. But we were trying to figure out an appropriate time for people to arrive instead of just saying show up at 3:00. It's like, no, let's figure out when the sun is not all the way down yet, but close.
Yeah.
that's that's enough time for everyone to arrive and not be sitting around waiting, and also. We had to make it work with one of our actors' schedules because she was a child, and so they can only work so many hours, and it's like
Yeah.
Trying to piece all that together, not wasting anybody's time, but also making sure that we're utilizing everybody as efficiently as possible, and we're checking our apps to make sure. Okay, so the sun sets at 5:30, if for sure, and then you check an hour later. And then suddenly it changed, for some whatever reason. So you're kind of guessing, but usually around usually it's set around 5:30 by now in the winter.
So yeah, it's down early.
Yeah, because I mean, it's funny. On the way here, it's running a little bit late because our call sheet. I'm doing a production right now, and I had to send a call sheet before I got
I
here.
the call sheet for
of all
this. I'm like,
things.
homie,
Right.
I'm not sending call sheets for this. I promise.
It's funny. So it's like, yeah, let me get this call sheet down, before people start asking me about where's the call
Yeah.
sheet. So I'm like, yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely dark
Shameless
by
plug, I
5:30, but
fucking love it.
I did put that because right now, I mean, at least for tomorrow,
Yeah.
I mean, sunset is at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
So well, there you go.
Right on the dot.
That's perfect like that. I mean, this part of the year is hard for a lot of reasons because I don't like when the sun sets, I get tired and like my day's basically over at 5 o'clock now,
Oh, right.
But it's great because I do a lot of outdoor shoots, like in the middle of field, whatever. And so in the summer you could work a 14, 16-hour day.
Yeah.
Because the sun's up and you have to
Right.
get a lot of stuff in, and I never recommend shooting like that, and I always get obviously get overtime pay and stuff like that.
Right.
But in the winter, outdoor shoots are fantastic because you're only like the sun's up for like 8 hours. You either get it or you don't. Like it's done. So
Yeah,
it's just like,
yeah,
this is
you
gonna
gotta-
be
you
easy
gotta
day to
reset.
day.
Well, unless of course you're dealing with a overnight exterior shoot,
Oh,
in
yeah.
which it's like, okay, now you're outside. It's a lot colder now.
Freezing.
It's freezing. You have no sun.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, great. You have the joy of saying, hey, well, at least when the sun comes up, we'll be wrapped. But at the same time, oh man, you're out there the entire
You're
time.
like, wait,
and-
when does the sun rise?
Right.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
8 o'clock in the morning? Shit.
Yeah.
Actually, I have no idea what time it rises, but it feels like it's 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Which
No, that's about right.
yeah, no, it's overnights. Oh, I hate them so much.
Overnights kill me. On head count, those overnights were they were fun because of the location that we were in, and that movie looks good, but it was just overnights suck. They
Yeah.
just suck.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
no
they-
way around
They
it.
definitely do.
And it feels like
was-
more and more people want to shoot night scenes. Like, as I get scripts and
Oh, yeah.
read stuff and
Yeah,
like work on
everybody
projects,
wants-
like everyone's like it's like a super dope storyline. Like, yeah, the catch is it's at night,
Night.
and you're like, ah, shit, we're gonna be shooting nights on this, aren't we? Because it's like moody. It's like the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember who I was talking to about this the other day, but they don't.
Well,
Like
it's
when Lord of the
moody.
Rings came
Yeah.
out, they shot night scenes. I don't know what they shot them probably on a studio lot, to be completely honest with you. But they're not like dark. Like now you watch something at night and like you can barely see the edges of people, and it's like this whole artistic style thing. But in like the Lord of the Rings days, they just just make this one light blue, and the audience is just like, oh, it's nighttime. I can see everything perfectly,
Yeah.
but it's at night. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Well,
Unless
and
you're a
they were also
slasher,
shooting
yeah.
on film back then,
Yeah.
and that's a whole thing. That's a whole bitch and a half to shoot
Yeah.
on film in the middle of the night with no lights, right?
Yeah.
If that's the scenario. But then I think what it is because of cameras, and you know a lot.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you know more about this than I do, but
The
yeah,
introduction of dual ISO was the worst fucking thing in the world.
yeah.
Because you can see in the dark now.
Yeah.
Sony cameras, you can actually see in the dark. I did this show down in Lexington, Kentucky, and we were shooting in this underground water cave thing or whatever, kayaking. And each of the kayaks had like a little baby like puck light in the middle of it that changed colors. And we're walking down. You got to walk down this pitch black thing or whatever, and the guide's like, "You sure you don't want to bring any lights? You're not gonna be able to see anything." I was like, "Trust me, dude. If there's a light on this, we're gonna see everything." And like I had the camera on like normal settings. It's pitch black. We're using FX 6s. You flip
Oh, nice.
the little switch to get it to dual ISO, and all of a sudden, everything is illuminated off of these little pucks. We had like 6 kayaks, I think, and these 6 little pucks illuminated an entire
Oh, wow.
underground cave, which is fantastic, but at the same time, it sucks because you now have to do more night stuff, and it sucks and it's not at the same time, because it is actually really great because you can like single light stuff. So like if you're doing a night scene and someone's smoking a cigarette, like the lighter and then the little embers on the end of the cigarette actually can illuminate a good amount of your talent, and it is super cool
Oh,
and
that's
moody
amazing.
and shit like that.
Yeah.
But no, tech is insane now.
Yeah.
That they can do that, because I didn't even think about the film debate of that, to be completely honest with you, which is really bad of me as a filmmaker. But it's okay. I give myself a free pass.
When I watch older movies, or any movie that's shot on film, that's always what amazes me.
Yeah.
When it's a night scene, I'm just like, how do you do that? Because I've only worked on one one short that was shot on film. It was Super 16, Kansas 1989.
Yeah, that was fun.
And yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was really cool too. Tony was gaffing, and I was a grip, and that was the what I learned was it's almost the same thing that you're doing, and it's just a lot more tweaking, and there's much more patience,
Yeah.
which is crazy because I've just been on really shitty shoots, but I'm used to like, okay, we gotta go, we gotta hurry up. Can you put that up now? Is it up yet? Did you build the 12 by yet? Did you
Yeah.
add this? Did you put, and it's just like, Jesus fucking Christ.
In film, everyone's just smoking weed and just being super laid back and like, nah, man, like, just let the process happen.
I guess I don't know, but
I've never been on a film shoot, to be completely honest with you. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you a thing about film.
It was really cool. That was fun. I would love to do it again. You should get a film camera.
I would love to, but like, so here's the part about this is gonna get super like in depth really quick. Cameras in general amaze me,
Yeah.
but film cameras especially amaze me because we have this strip of whatever that material is, and somehow celluloid. There you go. I love how you pulled that out. That's great. Celluloid. We have the strip of celluloid, and somehow between light, glass, and mirrors, what I see with my eyes gets burned onto this strip of celluloid, and then they take that strip of celluloid with a very delicate process.
Yeah.
And somehow you make it move really fast and put a light behind it, and like I can see it. Like just think about that concept for a second. That somebody like thought to do that.
Yeah. It's
like some guy was sitting there.
Magic.
I mean, really,
fucking magic.
It's movie magic. But like somebody sat there and went, if I put my glasses up next to this black strip of paper and like shine a light on it, I'm gonna be able to burn it in. Like, who the fuck thinks of that? Aliens is my thought. But then you take that a step further, and when you go to the digital world, you can take that same concept and make it digital. And I could be editing on my computer, hit AirDrop, and I can send a video clip to my cell phone via the air.
Yeah.
Like that's just weird to think about. That like that's a
weird to
thing.
think about.
That.
Like it's just weird. Like technology is exponential. So like obviously you keep going. It's just sorry that probably made zero sense to anybody. But like I think about that often when I'm on set. I'm like, how the fuck is this doing this?
It's magic.
I mean, it really is though.
It's just magic,
Movie
dude.
magic.
It just really is. It's mind-boggling to me,
Yeah.
and it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's one of the fun parts about being in the industry.
Yeah.
You get to deal with stuff like that.
It's great.
Yeah.
Tony shoots.
I shoot for my friends. I'm so busy, gaffing, gripping, production managing. And then once in a while, it's like a friend of mine has this, hey, we got this story, we got this short, or hey, we got this commercial. Are you available? I'm like, well, let me see. I'm like, I really believe in this story. Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely do that. So
I remember how many years ago, probably 6 years ago now at this point, but you hit me up to do that shoot with whatever company it was, the DUI one.
right.
And you're like, hey, do you want to come? Like, I don't know if someone dropped out or what it was, but like, you're like, hey, you want an AC? I was like, yeah, sure, I'll come pull focus. And I didn't know that you DP'd. And so I thought you were relaying for whoever the DP of the shoot was. And like, you gave me information, and I don't know why my brain didn't like just click on that, like, Tony is the DP. That's why he knows all of these things. And then I got the call sheet, Tony Ontiveros, director of photography, and I was like, oh my God, I'm such a fucking idiot. I mean, I was like 22 at the time, so like,
no worries.
I give myself a
No
little
worries
bit of,
there.
I also did a horrible job on that shoot. I remember I had to do a bunch of takes because I was not good at pulling focus. I'm still not good at pulling focus on
it's
a
a
wheel.
challenge. It's a challenge. I mean, how everyone did it back in the day, it's amazing without the use of monitors and whatnot, but you really were on top of your game and still are, just measuring the distance from like camera to talent.
Yeah.
And then you have to anticipate everything. Yes, the talent is hitting their mark, but they step in.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Well, and
to-
everybody wants to shoot like 1.8, 1.42 now, and so
Oh,
like I mean, you're
absolutely.
talking like this cable isn't even the focus plane at some points. Like it's
right.
like you can have like this eyelash in focus, but this one's out. Like it's just like holy fuck. Did either of you guys work on School Spirits?
I did not.
I did. I think I did 2 days.
So
overnight.
I don't remember her name. I've talked about this in another episode, but the AC on that shoot was the greatest AC I've ever seen in my entire life. No cine tape, no like she wasn't pulling like laser pointing and stuff like she literally 100mm lens. She could eyeball how far people were, wide open. The entire movie was wide open, but there was this one shot specifically where the main cast, whoever it was, walked in a straight line down a school hallway, and the dolly did like a couple foot move, but they were walking a good probably like 40, 50 feet, and she didn't look at the fucking monitor. She's just staring at them. She's like, and I'm sitting here like doing double takes. I'm like, what the fuck? It was just insane to me. Like people that are good at pulling focus are fucking amazing at
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, and then I didn't even know what a cine tape was at that point, and then I discovered what a cine tape was, and I was like, made it even. Her name was Elizabeth. That was her name, and it just made it that much more amazing. I was like, there's this piece of tech out there. That was a big budget movie. She could have gotten one if she wanted one, but she didn't. And I was like, holy crap! Like,
Mad
it's just
respect.
insane. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, you're like, hey Lucas, we're gonna do this 6-inch move. Can you keep his face in focus? He's not gonna move at all. And I'm like, oh crap! Like,
It slipped.
you want the brick building behind him in focus? What is it? So
Oh man, and sometimes your focal plane is what it is. It's like, okay, which one of those eyeballs do you want in focus?
I did a movie, and that was one of the questions. It was like a very dramatic scene, and I was in like probably like a 30-degree, like it was very profile-y, and sends me a cut. Yeah, it's all great, blah, blah, blah. He goes, but why is the face not in focus? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, like the eyeball closest to us in focus, but the one on the other side's not. And I'm like, well, the one closest to us has a tear running down it. Pretty sure you want that one in focus. And like, he didn't understand the concept of like,
Depth of field.
yeah, like depth of field. I'm like, well, why wouldn't both eyes be in focus? I was like, well, because I'd be shooting with like, I think I was shooting on like a 125 at like 2 or something like that. And it was like, well, I'd have to shoot at like a 35. Like,
Did you pull your own
F8.
focus?
No, Brittany did.
Oh.
She crushed it. It was great.
I was gonna
say- amazing.
Brittany
I was
pulls
gonna
my
say
focus.
that's pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, Brittany, she's sitting here, so that's why I'm
Hi,
pointing.
Brittany.
But like, Brittany, we'll have to do an episode with you because you have a different like background story and stuff, and I won't spoil it. So stay tuned for next week. We'll use you when we don't have anybody else to come on, and we like
When nobody wants to
when no one wants to do
anymore.
it anymore. We're like, all right, we gotta get one more week out of this.
I'm just here for the pizza.
Yeah, did you put that in the
Oh,
oven?
dude, there's pizza.
You're so fucking great.
Nice.
You're so fucking great.
No, I
well,
did-
sick. Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say
Say I did 2 days or 2 overnights on School Spirits, and I was an electrician, and my job was to sit in a condor high up.
Oh, really?
Oh,
It was
that was your condo
It was
story.
at full stick, and it.
And they didn't let you down.
They didn't let me down, and it rained a little bit.
Yeah.
And it
Because it was the
rained,
carnival scene.
and
So
the
that's where I
carnival
would have
scene.
met you
Yeah.
then.
I know.
Because I was the
we
BTS
did,
guy,
we
so
did not meet on that. Though.
I'm sure I
I
saw
was
you.
literally.
though.
You probably saw me like.
I was like,
go
who's
to-
this idiot
Yeah,
going up
who's
on
this
that
fucking
condor?
idiot stuck
Well,
in-
they asked me if I would do it, and I was like, hell no. And I used the
I was
BTS as a reason not to.
literally
But
hired for that position and nothing else.
that scene was
That's
sick.
all I did. I didn't see it.
That scene actually
It
was.
was up there.
I
forever.
remember the
It was
scene.
horrible.
I don't remember the exact content of it, but I took the greatest picture I've ever taken my entire life on that. But Scott Jolly was on Steadicam, and it was like a really low to the ground follow, and it pulled up, and like the main talent was walking through, and all these carnival people were coming through, and I was taking stills of what was going on, and I'm basically over Scott's shoulder because they wanted me to get the action as it happened,
yeah,
and they had a fire breather that shot a flame of fire as the girls like when the fire
Oh, yeah.
dissipated, they like emerged, and I got the picture, and the greatest picture I've ever taken was him shooting the fireball out. But there's another picture that I was not allowed to ever show anybody because they were
heard
like,
about
hey,
the
you can
fire.
use these, but you can't use these because we're going to use these. So I don't know if they ever used that picture or not. I could probably find it. But it's like the fire on the edges is still there, but their faces are like, you can like see them like faintly. And I remember seeing it in the movie when I watched it, and I was like, oh my God, that one frame is like the dopest frame I've ever seen in my entire life. So that scene was really cool. It was a giant carnival scene.
Remember, it was a carnival.
And I remember the extras were there for like 8 hours, and they filmed for like 15 minutes.
Man. Sometimes when you're doing those specialty rigs and your sole purpose is to be with whatever rig that you're on, while other things are going on at that point in time, so you have no idea what is being
No,
shot
never
with
know
what you're
what
doing.
the hell's
Absolutely.
Well, you probably fell asleep.
No, because it was swaying.
Oh, it was moving.
and
Yeah, I mean, how can you-
kinda
Were you
raining
vomiting?
A little bit. I was.
Man.
I was. Like,
I did that to
oh.
Dylan, not on a Condor, but I did that to Dylan Groves on a shoot, and I forgot that he was up like holding a flag over like a skylight or something like that. or like watching it. Like he wasn't holding it. Like we put sandbags
yeah.
over it. He was just up there to make sure the wind didn't take it or something like
smart.
that. And we forgot he was up there. And I was just like, oh, but he was sleeping. Like he literally. I'm not trying to get Dylan in trouble here, but like we told him, I was like, dude, just chill. Like it's gonna be a minute that you're up there, and like
Oh no,
Yeah,
you
we were
yeah.
calling
did
him.
Tell me about
Sounds
Yeah,
like
and
too
I was like,
short.
I felt
Yeah.
so bad. I was like, oh, he's like, oh, whatever. Like you guys carried all this shit down. I didn't have to. Like we're good. I was
Yeah.
like, sick, bro. Thanks.
Oh man.
Yeah, I've
We
used
left
Dylan
him
on
up in
couple
a
things.
condor on a
Oh, that music
on the
video,
other
like
music
earlier in the
vi-
year.
Yeah, on the
Oh,
music
God.
video.
Burn
You
your
know,
strike,
those
kid.
those
That was-
conditions weren't that different from like what you experienced.
It
as
wasn't
well.
raining. It was just cold.
It was just cold.
It was just cold.
It was a
when
cold
we
day.
sent Dylan
Yeah,
up
no thanks.
in the
Yeah.
condor.
We were trying not to. James and I and Patrick,
Right.
we were all like, nah, we don't need to send anybody up there. That's
Yeah,
stupid.
our gaffer says yes, but we need somebody to be up there in case we need to make any changes. I'm like, well, if you can
And the
make any
changes
yeah.
that were all made,
We're done on the ground.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Literally, nothing had to be changed
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
light.
at all.
But if they would have been down, then they 100% would have won. Oh no, we want the light facing that way instead of it.
Oh,
I've been
right,
on those
yeah,
shoots
yeah,
too.
yeah.
We're
Yeah,
like, no, we
you're
would
right.
never move this in a million years. and
that's-
then like
that's
the director's like, no, it has to be this way. It's like, well, we're gonna be a minute to get what you want.
felt bad for Dylan, but
yeah,
he-
same.
Yeah, earned your stripes.
I will never feel more bad for Dylan. I did the unexpected, and we did. I think it was either
I mean,
13.
him carrying the goat.
It was 13 or 19, and that goat was a good 40, 50 pounds. It was hot as
bad.
balls
Oh,
outside.
jeez.
And I remember because I was carrying the Ronin, and I had less weight on the Ronin than he did with the goat. And he technically walked more than I did because he was just, and he was so beat. He was just like, because like we were moving quick, so like they weren't giving him water. So like it was. I
Oh,
felt
man, that's
so
bad.
fucking bad. But
That's bad.
the shot
Uh-huh.
looks so sick, and the back of Dylan's head is in it, and he started it, and it's fantastic. Dylan's dope. He's cool.
Dylan's
dude.
great.
I like him a lot.
Love Dylan.
Shout out to Dylan Groves.
Yeah, Dylan Groves, great dude.
We just
Did a music video for him.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That was fun.
the Nights and Never. So I'll have to have him on because he'd be,
Oh, yeah,
he'd be a
you-
fun
oh, yeah,
person
you
to have on the
definitely
podcast.
need
to. No,
So
he's
Dylan, if
great.
you're watching this, get ready for your invite. I'll text
that
you
video
later.
was fun. Tony was gaffing, and I gripped, and we were doing these projection. It was poor man's process,
Yeah.
but with projectors.
Yeah, I talked to Jacob about all that. So
Oh, you
it,
did?
it looked
Nice.
dope.
Yeah.
It looked sick.
No,
I saw
you-
him at the meetup the other day.
You were talking about
yeah, that's right.
you were talking about favorite rigs. I think some of my favorite rigs are on music videos like that. We're doing the poor man's process through projectors
Yeah.
as well, because I mean you have all that that screen with the projection of like the driving, forward, backward, whatever it is. Sometimes rear projection. We were
Yeah.
just straightforward projection on that, but just to create that illusion and just creating the light, of passing street
replicating
lamps.
that.
Yeah,
and
it's,
all that. So,
it's a
and
lot of fun.
I think
Love
that's
that
the
stuff.
future of filmmaking. I think that we're going to get to a point that you're very seldomly on location, and I think a lot of it's going to be shot in studios with projection, that kind of stuff, but mainly LED volumes. I don't know if you guys have
yeah.
worked on either of
I
those
have
or
not
not yet.
worked with those,
It's
but I know what you're
stupid
talking
expensive right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like to make one is dumb expensive, but as is everything, it
Right.
comes out really expensive. Then they find a cheaper way to do it down the line.
absolutely.
And once they find a cheaper way to do it, and people can pop those up left and right like it's nothing,
Yeah.
it's like why would you shoot on location? Like
Because
why would you worry about the
because
weather?
it's real, it's tangible.
Well, yeah, that's the
Air
artist
and the
side of it. But
elements.
like what I'm,
It's-
this actually segmented me to the last thing I want to talk about. But like,
You're not pretending.
the
It's
film
just,
the film industry is moving from the artistic, like we're making movies, it's fun, it's great,
So we're
more,
making commercials.
right, we're making a commercial and it's a business model. It comes down to money, like, and the formula is person you trust to pull off the execution, so aka a company in LA or New York that you've worked with your entire life, some sort of name talent, however high level that person is, and then it's just got to be good enough. Like all the storylines are basically the same now.
Yeah.
If you go on Netflix and scroll through this stuff, every movie is the exact same movie. It's just there's a different lead actor, and if you look at the production companies behind those, it's the same fucking 2 or 3 production companies. So like the topic I want to talk about a little bit with you guys is a film incentive in in Missouri, and now they're talking about this one in Kansas. I just saw that today. Do you think that is beneficial for local filmmakers, or do you think that doesn't even fucking matter to people like us?
I think it's beneficial for the corporate snobs and for local filmmakers because, I mean, sure, the corporate people and whoever's with an actual studio or who just has money, so
Yeah.
rich white people, they'll
Really though?
but really
No, yeah.
they'll yeah, sure, they'll probably get the bigger piece of that pie that's fine. Money talks. Like, let's
Yeah.
be real. But local, I think there's opportunity there for the local artists in town to, get a little bit out of that. And,
Are you talking about getting on those sets or to take
I
a piece
think-
of the incentive?
I think both. I think
Okay.
getting on the sets and taking a little time, able to talk to whoever they got to talk to and help get their short funded or their pilot funded.
Yeah.
Or even if it's probably not a huge thing, probably still be a very small micro budget thing, but it's still only so much would be out of pocket
Right.
at that point. And I think that's a massive step forward because I've produced all of my films with my own money, and I've asked friends for help, and they've been very much obliged to throw me a couple $100 here or there, or to donate this gear or that gear
Yeah.
just because. But the goal obviously is one day I don't have to do that. I don't have to ask for favors.
Right.
I can be like, come and work on my thing if you want. The budget is this. Unfortunately, this probably isn't going to be your full day rate, but at least it's something,
Yeah.
right? And then
some's better than nothing.
and then we get a good lunch, and then we wrap on time or early, and then everybody has a fun time.
And it's stress free. It's not
Stress-free.
it's not a drama filled shoot and shit like that.
Exactly.
That's why I hate
Absolutely.
fucking like that.
Exactly. And then you earned some payment out of it, right?
Yeah, you get something out of
You
it.
get something out of it.
Oh, absolutely. And then, like, some of the benefits, I mean, this is where, like, even being a person that owns gear, it's like, I mean, I got a lot of stories I want to get off the ground. And it's one of those things I'm like, well, I have all this gear as well. So I'm like, okay, that's less money that would even have to go to, like,
Yeah.
getting gear from, like, someone else. It's like,
Right.
oh, I have all that stuff, So now it's just a matter of crew at this point. So
Yeah.
crew, locations. But the thing is that a lot of my stuff, does take place here. I like to utilize the locations that we have in the area because it's like I've already seen what is available to me, and I like what's available, and I love the crew here. I'm like, why not shoot here?
Yeah. My only problem with it's not my only problem, but my main problem with any incentive, one in Kansas looks like absolute dog shit, to be completely honest with you. You only have to film 25% of your movie in Kansas to get the incentive. That's so stupid.
There's nothing in Kansas.
Any sort of rule shoot though, like I mean,
Well,
think
I
about it.
don't know.
Superman.
There was that
Superman
cool
shows up for
bar
6
that
days,
showed up.
25%. Like So my biggest problem
fair.
with it is that in the bills, at least from what I've seen, and I could be wrong, obviously, is there's no incentive for hiring local crew. Every movie that I have ever done, every big project I've ever done,
Yeah.
they fly in their keys, and sometimes I'm one of those people that gets flown in somewhere else. And the only people that get hired locally are PAs and maybe ACs. But more than likely, at least the focus pullers, are going to be someone that is comfortable with them. And it's easy to get mad at that. It's easy to be upset with that. But at the end of the day, that's a business decision because
business
you
decision.
try.
Yeah,
Like if you're
absolutely.
coming with 10 million, you're not just going to hand it off like, "Hey, Lucas of Lost Productions, will you make my $10 million movie? Thanks for responding to my Craigslist ad." Like that's just not going to happen. So like, there's that part of me that like, oh, it sucks. But at the same time, there's a cap on the incentives locally at least.
Oh, yeah.
But there's going to be at least a little bit of money left over that like the Patrick Rays that are making the features here,
Yeah.
like maybe they can get some more money and then everyone that's on there, like the movie turns out to be better. So therefore everyone that did get a credit, because unless I'm wrong, he does use primarily local crews.
He does.
Those people will get a credit that is now more recognizable somewhere. So maybe you guys could jump on, somebody wants to shoot something in Kansas City and, they need whatever. And you can say, hey, here's my stuff. And they go, oh, you are trustworthy. Like, you're not just like applying for a job and you have a bunch of short films that you shot and produced yourself.
Oh, right.
Like,
Yeah.
they're going to go, okay, kid, like sit down, like chill
Right.
out. But so it's a double-edged thing with me. I wish that they made it a requirement to do like 90% local crew. I'd be 100% on board if they were like, yeah, okay, you can bring your producers, you can bring your director, you can bring your DP. Everybody else, you got to hire locally. Every G&E person, all that, like you have to rent gear here, like all that kind of stuff. But there's also workarounds with all that kind of stuff too that
There-
like, you
there
can
are,
easily
yeah.
get through,
Yeah.
especially with LLCs and how easy it is to make
Yeah.
an LLC in a different state.
I mean, I just worked on a feature in a different city.
Yeah.
I'm not local to where that was.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a give and take.
Yeah.
There's also a situation as far as like who your keys are and everything, because a lot of times you go from out of town or say that. Well, this even goes with like a lot of out of town productions, even commercial. They'll fly in the DP. Sometimes the DP will bring his own AC.
Right.
That they have trusted all these years and whatnot to do that. But then it's like, oh, it's really expensive to fly in the gaffer and the key grip and all that. And it's like, okay, let's see what's here locally. And then, you get the calls from the gaffer, the key grip, to fill in the positions of G&E. So that's another situation too. So
Sometimes,
but yeah, it's not.
It's really, yeah, it just kind of depends on the budget.
It depends on the budget.
film's budget.
Yeah.
Whatever film that is. But I mean, I think, like you said, it's a double-edged thing.
It really is.
I think I'm leaning, for whatever reason, I'm leaning more towards I think it's a good thing. I think, it'll even out
Yeah.
at the end of it, because yeah, sure, let's say that things go in a decent way and then we get like a decent budget feature, tier 2 feature film.
Yeah.
All right, we get to work on that in town, all three of us.
What's that number, just so people know? Like, do you know what a tier 2
I
budget
don't
is?
actually know. I'm
gonna look it up.
Yeah,
just
you
for,
should.
Just so
you should.
we're not giving people like
Yeah.
bad info.
Right.
I don't know what this is, but I have an ad on my phone for Women's Day.
Oh,
So
happy Women's Day.
Jinx 10 Yummy Coke.
Oh.
What is a tier
Yeah.
2? No, I get what you're saying though.
But like, let's say we get. I just know it's like
it's probably like 5 million, I think.
something. I don't know. Either way,
I'm not a union guy, so I don't know.
I'm not union.
Yeah, nor am I.
I'm-
So
Yeah, I'm not union. I don't really know what all that means. I just know that like the budget's bigger than normally what features we work on.
right.
Much bigger. Okay.
So according to this, I don't know if this is real or not. It's less than $1 million.
It's definitely less than $1 million. It's still like basically.
Actually, it's one. It looks like it's 1.5 and below.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but according to WGA, a tier 2 independent low budget agreement is $1.5 million.
Okay. So let's say, we get something like that within the next when is this supposed to go into effect? Like next year or 2 years?
I mean,
Theoretically.
I think the vote's like later in 2023, so let's
Is
just
it
call
really?
it 24
Okay.
or something like that.
So let's say in the next few years, whatever, we're able to get a decent budget feature, $1 million, whatever, right? Feature film, and we all three of us get to work on it. Well, and sure, maybe none of us are keys on it, but we got to meet some pretty cool keys, probably. And then they talk to Tony. Oh, you have your own truck,
yeah.
Lucas. Oh, you have your own blah 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 blah. And so there's like I believe that there is room for opportunity there. And then you're working with those producers, and those producers are like, oh, Lucas has this camera, Tony has all this
Yeah.
gear. Why do the next thing I produce, I'm just going to hire them because they live here.
Yeah, I talked with Parker on the first episode that we released about this thing because Parker's from LA, mainly reality, but like he does some very big reality shoots. He's a producer. And they would go to these cities and they do these shows, and everyone basically takes like a job demotion. So like if you're an AC in New Orleans, or that's probably a bad example because New Orleans is a big hub, but if you're an AC wherever and a giant couple $1 million shoot comes in, now you're a PA. And it's not because you're not capable, it's because they don't know you. And so you take the PA job, now they know you, and now you can climb the ladder and go up. So like, you might not be the key grip, you might not be the gaffer, you guys just might be regular grips or a best boy or whatever.
Right.
And then like, oh, like you're way more qualified. Like now they know you, and so like it's like that ladder process. They're like, yeah, you kind of got to take a step back for a couple of weeks, but long term, you're actually turning into a bigger thing or whatever. I think at a worst case scenario, we get the incentive, it all goes down. When you apply for a job elsewhere, not in Kansas City, people won't go, no one shoots in Kansas City, so you therefore suck. They're going to go, there's been some projects in Kansas City. We should at least look at the application, because it's just the way that it is. I've been on these jobs. You guys have been on these jobs. They want LA and New York people. They might not be better than you, but they have the experience to back it. Like, I can send every reel over. I can say, oh, this is all the stuff I've done, whatever, but they don't know me. They haven't worked with me. They don't know any of these things. So my odds of getting a job against someone in LA who knows Becky, Susan, Rick, Tom, and whatever, and they, it's just one of those, like, you're just not going to line up. And so it's a sticky situation. Obviously, incentive would never be a bad thing. It would never be a negative thing to get the incentive here. I just think people need to have their expectations
more realistic.
so it doesn't, people aren't pissed off or don't take a job. Like if someone offered, I probably wouldn't AC because I probably wouldn't do a good job at it, to be completely honest with you.
Sure.
But if someone was like, hey, you want to like VCam op on this $10 million feature? I'd be like, fuck yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And then
yeah,
I go suck up to the DP. He's probably an ASC member. And then all of a sudden, I'm in a fast track to the ASC. And then I'm in a secret cult. And it'll be super fun.
Secret cult.
I try to figure out what that is. That sounds so bad of me to say. I'll probably edit this out. But like, I know what it is. And I've met a couple of members. I've worked on some stuff with people. But I'm like, it's invite only. You can't get kicked out, and you have to pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Well,
What
hopefully
is it?
you'll
What is it,
start
like
wearing
20
those long duvetine,
How much
black
is it?
robes. That'd be
Yeah.
nice,
How
How
much
much
that
is
would
it?
be
It's like,
so
it's
sick.
like thousands of dollars.
Well, a
right?
master class is $3,500 for a week. That's just a
$3,500.
class. That's just a class that you have to be accepted to. Which, I mean, I get the benefit of it. Like, I'm not saying don't spend the money, but it's just one of those things that, like, I remember when I found out what it was, I was like, what the fuck does ASC mean? And then I was educated, and I was like, oh, so you're, like, really fucking dope. Like, you're really good. You have a shit ton of experience. People like you. You're good at your job. And I was like, or you're just really rich.
Probably
Because
really
you can
rich.
buy all that kind of stuff.
Probably really rich.
Probably a mix of the two. I mean, all the ASC people that I've worked with are very talented, are very good at what they do. In all specs, I've worked with the Michael Peso was an ASC member, the one that we did the Warren Buffett thing with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was a great guy. I still talk to him. Shout out
That's
to Michael
awesome.
Peso. He's a great DP. He does a lot of stuff. He does commercials, docs, features, all that shit. Very, very good. So that was a fun shoot.
Yeah, that was
I
cool.
enjoyed it.
Right.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
On the road again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all the road shoots have been fun.
Yeah, I love going out of town.
Yeah.
I hate going out of town. I love going out of town at the same time.
Yeah.
I love going out of town because it's something different and you get to go to cool places. But it also sucks because I don't know how long you guys go, but I mean, I'm on the road for a couple months at some points. And so it's like, okay, I can go home at any moment now. Like I need a break.
Yeah, several weeks from time to time, but sometimes it's like, all right, well, let's see what this adventure is. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, oh, let's see what this Airbnb is going to be like. But
Yeah.
man,
I remember when I first started traveling, Brittany would always, she would always be like, I'm so jealous of you. Like, you get to go travel and see all these cool places. And I'm like, Brittany, I'm working 14-hour days and like I'm offloading when I get back to the whatever hotel
Yeah.
Airbnb. Like, there is no time to see anything. Like, you have down days and stuff like that.
Right.
But you're mainly sleeping and stuff. Like, you know, it's like, oh, you went to Florida. Like, you had to hang out. I'm like, I didn't set foot on a beach in Florida. Like, I was on set and I was in my hotel. That was it. DoorDash and food. Because you're so tired at the end of the day.
you
Yeah.
don't want to go
You
anywhere.
know,
right?
it's
You
not
don't wanna go
vacation.
anywhere.
And she went and started traveling with me, you know, is working on stuff too. And she was like, oh yeah, you're right. So like, it's no longer like my parents used to do the same thing. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to Vegas for this shoot. Oh, Vegas. Heck yeah. Mom loves gambling. Oh, sick. I'm like, I'm not staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning gambling for an 8 a.m. call. Like, that's just not how it happens.
No, there's not.
So it's insane. But we can wrap this up, mainly because I smell our pizza. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about? You were dying to talk about?
Honestly, I mean,
know,
when you
man.
were talking earlier about, you know, why a call sheet goes late and everything, and
Yeah.
it just all goes down to the whole proper planning of your production, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing one where I was going to be on this reality show, and I still haven't gotten the call sheet. So I'm like, okay, me and the Key Grip were messaging our producer saying, hey, where's the call sheet? And then, you know, within a few minutes, you know, the producer, you know, gives me a call and say, hey, well, here's the thing. We're working overtime right now. So it's really hard to find out like what time we're going to be at tomorrow. I'm like, well, you know, it's 10:45 right now. I got to know what time I'm going to be, you know, having to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, the call sheet goes out when it goes out. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, can't you tell me like the call sheet won't be like our call time won't be like any earlier than this time, no later than that?
A decent estimate.
Yeah, give me a decent
just an
estimate.
estimate.
A guess.
Oh man, the
Like,
guy went off on my case about saying, "Hey, you know, it's hard to give anyone a courtesy call right now because people are asleep." I'm like, "Excuse me, it's really hard to go to sleep when we don't know what our call time is."
Well, yeah, what do you want me to do? You want me to go to bed at 11, wake up at 7, 8, but the call time was 6?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, or the call times when you wake
was
up
like-
and you have to
yeah.
get ready and try. Like, it's just dumb.
like on the last
Butterflies. This is a Patrick Ray short. Patrick's great. I love ADing for Patrick. Tony was gaffing. And then we on that there was a location where I didn't have. I don't think any. Maybe it was just me, but maybe it was everybody. But I didn't have service. I didn't have
Oh.
any
Oh, shit.
cell phone service.
Oh, right.
and my computer wasn't connecting to. They said they had Wi-Fi. My computer wasn't connecting to it.
Gotcha.
I don't know if they really had Wi-Fi.
Gotcha.
Maybe it was just shitty
You
Wi-Fi.
had the Wi-Fi.
I don't know. Anywho,
But yeah, and then we were like wrapping out and stuff, and I live an hour and a half away from the location. And
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry guys, look, the call sheet's going to come out. It's just going to be late because I live an hour and a half away. But I will say we're here again tomorrow, and it's going to be in the morning, probably later. I think I wound up being like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or something like that.
Right, it was something like that. But the good thing is
Yeah.
that I don't believe that you had any new cast members and new crew members the next day.
I
Maybe
did.
you did. You did.
I did. I had to.
But,
I had to
you know.
rework redo that stuff. But
Right.
either way, you know, here we are. They are. I should
yeah,
say,
here
wrapping
they were,
out, and
yeah.
I was like, "Hey, Jeannie, by the way, I'm
Right.
sorry. You're not going to see this call sheet until like 11 p.m. But
Whose job is it to make the call sheet?
it's actually the second AD.
I was about to say that's not the AD's job.
No.
Unless,
It's
of course, you know,
or
I've been
the
on shoots,
UPM.
or the UPM also.
and
Yeah.
we did not have a UPM, and I was the only.
Yeah, you didn't
It's
have
just
to take
me.
any, so
I
it's
didn't
your
have.
job, yeah.
I didn't have any PAs. I was on
I
my
don't
own
know.
the whole shoot.
I am
it-
such a
was pretty
call
great.
sheet snob. So like one time I mean another shoot, it's like I got the call sheet and it's like, okay, open it. I'm like, okay, this is an Excel document. Okay, I could not open it on my phone, but I'm like, I know I have it Excel because I make call
Yeah.
sheets all the time on Excel on my laptop. So I open it up. I'm like, okay, this is great. Just so the person that sent me know this, so the person that sent me the call sheet knows. I'm like, hey, this call sheet is actually an Excel file. I'm pretty sure you're going to have other people, you know, that are going to have trouble there.
Yeah, can't
so,
open it.
you know, that's a whole situation.
Export
there.
PDF, go.
Like it's not.
It's
Right.
such a simple thing, but it causes so much problems.
Oh gosh,
which
well,
is
here's-
so crazy.
Well, yeah, and also depending on like what software you have, sometimes you run into
Yeah.
this weird problem. I know I've encountered it, and when I have more time, I can counter it. But sometimes I'm like, all right, I'm going to send this a PDF. You save it as a PDF, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what happened here? My call sheet is now split into 4 different pages. Why? You know, it's
Yeah.
fine here, but
And it's like the section off ones, right? Like your
Right.
words, like it's not like it does
It's
the
a
first half,
weird
second half.
situation.
It's like chunked and weirded around.
it's like, all right, let me just print this thing out.
Yeah.
I'm just going to scan it, save my scan as a PDF, and then finally, you know, there it is, you know, because I don't have time to deal with this.
Give it a
right now.
puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's say give people the 4 pieces, scan it. Here you go.
Yeah.
Send it off and go. No,
Boom.
it's insane how much, and I hate them so much. Even when I do them, I don't do them right. I've misspelled your name numerous times,
Yeah.
and I don't care.
And then just being as a victim of misspelled names myself, I'm like, okay, let me just make sure that, you know, everyone, you know, has their name spelled right. And
Yeah.
also, I just want to make sure. That's why I also send it to myself. So that way I'm like, did the call sheet send, you know? Because
Yeah, did you
sometimes,
get it?
I mean, like Vic's like talking about the bad service here or whatever. Because sometimes, like, I'm trying to get out of that location because location is trying to kick me out. So I'm like, I hit send, but maybe it never sent.
Yeah.
So that way I'm like, okay, I got kicked out of location, you know?
Yeah.
Can I open it up? Did it send in my, oh God, it's in my outbox. All right, so
Yeah.
let me go to like where hopefully a place that I have
Go to
signal.
McDonald's.
Yeah,
and,
and then
grab
just
some
send it out
Wi-Fi
that
real
way.
quick, Yeah.
And then I just make sure that everyone like receives
Yeah.
it. So
It just comes down to communication. Like
Absolutely.
if you're
Yep.
open with again,
Communication,
I don't
planning.
need to have the hospital. I don't even have I don't need to have that stuff done. But if you just tell me, hey, we wrapped,
Mm-hmm.
be back at whatever, you know, hopefully with a 12-hour turnaround, because that's
ideally.
isn't it like 10-hour is what like you have like legally supposedly if you're doing like a union shoot. I think it's 10 hours.
and
Us
probably-
non-union
I
folks,
mean,
we're scred. We could
I
wrap
know,
at
right?
11 and we could come back at 2
right, but
a.m.
I-
but-
well,
there
still,
you
you
go.
know, we're still big fans of the big 12-hour
12
turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just a
is-
courtesy
is
thing,
just
like-
Absolutely.
that's what it just should be.
Yeah, I think it
12
should.
hours.
I think it
Oh,
should be illegal to
absolutely.
have less than
Yeah.
a 12-hour.
I mean,
turnaround.
and I'm fine working 12-hour days. Like,
I'm fine with that myself.
10,
I mean, you know,
yeah,
don't want to
sure,
advertise
10,
it, but you know,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like
10-hour days is
right,
ideal.
I mean, hey,
It's
but
ideal.
if you can be wrapped before then, hey, more power
hey,
to
more,
you.
yeah, right.
But I mean, it all comes down to like just proper planning.
It just,
Yeah.
yeah. really. Yeah.
Part planning and being realistic, because I've done this
Oh,
shit
be
too. Like, because
realistic,
on
yeah.
my shoots, I try to make as simple as possible. I don't try to overdo anything. Like, I don't try to win an Emmy or an award for every shoot that I ever do. Like, sometimes I'm just like, look, like I'm not gonna do a bad job. Like, I'm not gonna get myself fired.
No, but
But I'm also not going to like. I don't know if either of you two have ever done this with me, but like I was working with someone recently, and I'm not going to say his name because I'm kind of being an ass. But like we have it all set up, and he comes up to me, he goes, "We should do this, 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 this." I'm like, "No, we shouldn't because we don't need that." Like it was like this thing with like this hair light and like this back streak he wanted to do, and I'm like, "Look, dude, we have 15 minutes until this person's showing up. I'm not breaking down all this stuff just to put up something that's more or less going to look exactly the same as what we're doing."
yeah, no,
Like,
I've had that
you know.
conversation with people before.
Yeah, same. We had a said reality show, honestly. I was on a shoot where we were already lighting for this location based on what our camera operator was telling us. Now, I found out that the camera operator was not our DP. He was, in fact, the second camera operator. Our DP, this is a pre-light day, and then the DP wasn't even there that day. So I'm like, okay, well, what are we even doing setting it up? You know,
Why
I'm
are
like,
we here?
And then the director had a completely different idea. It's like, oh, well, we should do this thing outside. I'm like, you know, it's going to be raining outside. Oh, I mean, how bad does it rain in Kansas? I'm like, it rains pretty bad, honestly.
Kind of known for it.
Yeah,
but-
I mean, if it says it's gonna rain, it's gonna rain.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, give or take.
It'll blow over. No,
It's like,
it's gonna rain all day.
That's a situation. And they're like, well, okay, let's find another place. And then we're like going upstairs, and it's like, okay, well, you know what? I don't even want to set up for any of these other places because we don't have the DP here.
Yeah.
I might be wasting my time, taking away from our setup here. So let's
Yeah.
just leave everything here, and then we'll just wait till they show up and see what happens there.
That happened on Queer Eye multiple times.
It happened on Queer Eye all the time.
Oh, I believe it.
I mean, it
was a
happened.
lot.
It happened in the loft and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
Because you guys had that lit, and then Hisham came and was like, "Oh no, this is not what I told people to tell you."
Yeah.
And it was like, "Oh,
Oh yeah,
That's
it's all coming back to me.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But
yeah." I mean, that was like 5 years ago now. At this point,
Well, proper planning. I mean, the other thing is that they were giving us one day to like set up all this stuff and the
Yeah.
concrete
And after
ceilings.
after
Yeah,
after
they
they
asked
told
that
us
time, you guys.
after we realized what we needed to do, I was like, this is like a week. This is like a week job.
Yeah, it really
It
was.
We
was
got
a-
it done in 3.
Well, it took us only like one day. I'm like, yeah, you weren't drilling,
You weren't drilling
holes into
it,
concrete
yeah.
ceilings.
Yeah.
last
Queer Eye
time.
was a reality shoot that wanted to look like a feature film, but wanted the budget and the timing of everything
Of a
to be
student film.
reality. And it's like, guys, there's only so much we could do here. Like, this is like a 3,000 square foot space. We have to make it look like a house so you can shoot every single angle.
Then give us.
Give us at least like an extra
Yeah,
3 hours.
right?
Or,
Yeah, 3 days is what
more.
we needed.
Yeah, and more than just me and Tony.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like we needed 2 more guys.
Well, I mean, to do things
People, we
safely,
need-
you're high
yeah.
up in there. We need
we needed,
someone
we
to
needed-
hold the ladder while
we
you're
needed-
drilling the holes.
We needed
up
like
there.
2 more people, maybe
Yeah.
3 more people.
Right.
For that.
Because it was initially all stands, and then they were like, no, we want to.
We don't want to see stands. We
Yeah,
don't want to
'cause-
see our
Well,
movie
then-
magic.
No, that's fair. That
And I
makes
said,
sense.
okay.
Yeah,
you
they
know
wanted it to be a studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which,
That's fair.
let's
know,
just
it's
go.
like-
It looked great.
We obviously can do it, but you just got to give us the time.
Yeah.
And maybe, like I said, maybe
like 3 more people.
I don't
That
know,
would have
I
been
mean,
nice.
Aside with that proper planning,
They weren't
is-
hurting for money.
No,
I'll tell you
no.
that.
I mean, aside from that proper planning, you get that triangle about cheap, fast, and quality. It's like, okay, pick any of these 2, and the third one, it'll definitely be
Yeah,
not.
it's gone.
So
Yeah. I mean, really though, that was your stomach. You're hungry.
I'm a little hungry.
I'm hungry too, and I can
he's
smell the pizza.
he's one of those people that haven't eaten in a while. He's hungry. That's what he is.
Second lunch, let's go. No, thank you guys for coming out. I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully this was fun for you.
Oh,
it was enjoyable for me.
Absolutely.
Same. I'm sure we'll be
do it
working
again.
on. I want to talk to you guys about a project actually once we get off camera, but I'm sure we will work together again
yeah,
because we have a good amount
yeah.
already. So
You should make
Tony a regular guest star on this show.
okay.
It's been fun. I mean, I would definitely
Tuesdays
show up
with
again.
Tony.
Ooh,
Tuesdays with
hey, I
Tony.
like the sound of
No,
that.
today's Monday. Fuck.
Okay, well we're gonna pretend like it was Tuesday.
Nobody needs to
Tuesdays with Tony.
Nice.
All right, I'm gonna stop blabbering. Let's go eat some pizza. Thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it.
I love you, Lucas.
I love you too, Vic. Okay, thanks. Bye.